Andrew Thomas, if he sees his quarterback's about to get sacked, he'll do anything to protect Jake Fromm. Jake Fromm was like his child. Like, Jedrick Wills is just like the guy from Alabama that's going to be taken. He's a top prospect his entire life. And he has no dog. Guys that have been successful over years, Northern Illinois. If I don't want a polished guy that plays on turf and, 80-degree weather, perfect conditions all the time. I want a guy that's going to be able to go in the cold. I want to be a guy that's be able to play in the driving rain and push people around. Hey guys, what's up? My name is Anthony, and welcome to another edition of BNA Sports Talk. And what I want to talk about today is the offensive tackle class in 2020 and how it stacks up against last year's class and a couple of previous classes. And what that means for the Giants. Who should we select if number 4, if anybody, and what that means for our future left tackle position. Because right now the Giants, what we want is a future left tackle. We don't want a right tackle that's going to be there. We want a left tackle because we're planning on cutting Nate Solder. That's the thing. Unless Nate Solder has a miraculous year this year, even if he does, we still want a future left tackle. Nate Solder's not the long-term solution, especially at 4. If we pick a guy, we want him to be there for 10, 15 years. I've been looking at people saying, 2015, you take a look, only one guy is still on his remaining team. That's Brandon Sheriff, a guard. So you see a lot of guys leaving their teams. If we select a solid guy, he's going to be there. But we all know 7 out of the top 10 guys are not going to be with their initial team in 5 years down the line, in 2025, as hard as it is to think that far down, or 2024, whatever it is. So what I found about this year's the draft class, and I'll preface it by saying this: there could be different raters, there could be a different system, but this year's not that much different with the other offensive tackle classes. This year it's a little bit deeper than it's been. Last year you had the top 3 guys: Jawan Taylor, Andre Dillard, Dalton Reisner, and those guys didn't play that well. Those guys, and they were put in positions to succeed. They were put in pretty good offenses, besides really the Jaguars with Jawan Taylor. But Jawan Taylor was dealing with injuries, I understand. But the top 3 guys are pretty much rated the same as those guys were. I don't believe in Andrew Thomas's rating. He was rated like a 6.47. Get the hell out of here with that. I don't think Andrew Thomas is rated at 6.47. But, you take a look at it. Jedrick Wills is rated barely over Jawan Taylor. And that's the guy that you want to bring in at number 4. Are you kidding me? The guard class this year is a little bit weaker than it's been. I don't think you select a guard this year. People say grab a guard center. I like Nick Gates. He's not great, but I like him. I'm not sure. You're not going to draft a guard at number 4, I can tell you that much. But the past couple of years, guard classes have been really good. Your Quentin Nelsons, your I forget his name, Braden Smith, I think. And yeah, so Braden Nelson? No, they definitely have the same last name. But, the Giants need a draft in a pretty good guy that's going to stick around for a while. And the 2 guys that I'm really looking at are Andrew Thomas and Tristan Wirfs. Now, the tackle classes that have been successful over the past couple of years, the tackles that have been successful, are able to put up at least 27 on that bench press. Besides Orlando Brown, who ran like a 5.85 and only bench press 40, these guys are athletes. They don't have a 36-inch vert like Tristan Wirfs does, but these guys, they're pretty good athletes. They run high 4s, low 5s. You even had a Joe Staley who ran like a 4.74. So you get those really athletic guys, but overall these guys are running low 5s. Like your Andrew Thomas, that's a check. It's a check mark. There's no glaring holes. There's no glaring signs of this guy's not going to be successful. But Andrew Thomas and Tristan Wirfs both benched less than 27. Andrew Thomas, 21. Now, there could be an exception. I know I'm probably doing too much spreadsheet analytical stuff. It's a little bit concerning. You have to be able to move guys. They're both of good size. Obviously Tristan Wirfs, his arm length is not that great, but Andrew Thomas is lengthy. He has 36-inch arms. Jesus Christ, he's like a squid. But I didn't realize his arms were that long. But with Tristan Wirfs, he's a little bit smaller, but I wouldn't mind switching him over to guard. I was discussing this in the comment section. I'm like, okay, after 1 year, Kevin Zeitler's only a $2.5 million dead cap hit. You switch him over to guard, and he's going to be there. So I wouldn't mind us moving him over to guard. Andrew Thomas, we need a future left tackle. That's what he can be. And Tristan Wirfs has played right tackle, left tackle. He's played around the line. He's physical. He'll be able to be a mismatch guy. But is that the guy that we want to select at 4? Obviously, I wouldn't mind it. But Isaiah Simmons, you take a look at him, 7-point-something rating. Quentin Nelson got rated as 7.5, and these guys are like 6.8s. Obviously, it's not something to take home. It's not something to write home about all these things. It's not something to take too literal. But you're telling me Isaiah Thomas is going to be one of the most elite prospects, and you don't want to bring him on your roster? You're going to bring in a guy who's comparable to Jawan Taylor? I don't want that. I don't want a guy, Jedrick Wills, who's too technically sound. He's just going to stay there. We're going to forget about him. Like, oh, yeah, that's great, but he's not physical. He's 6'4". And I think these guys are going to start pushing him around a little bit. We need a guy that's physical. I wouldn't mind a Josh Jones. I wouldn't mind an Andrew Thomas. I wouldn't mind a Tristan Wirfs to be on this roster. And I would, honestly, with the depth of this offensive line class, I'd select a guy second round. You have a better hit rate. Between a 6.4 and a 6.8, they're all boomer bust prospects at this point. And Jedrick Wills, he's not going to do much for this team. He's going to stay there. I want impact players. And I don't think Jedrick Wills is that guy. One of my friends was making fun of me. I don't know why you're making fun of me for that. Like, oh, he's too technically sound. It's like you're saying Tom Brady's too accurate. Quarterback's too accurate. No, I'm saying he has no dog in him. He's not going to throw people around. Andrew Thomas, if he sees his quarterback's about to get sacked, he'll do anything to protect Jake Fromm. Jake Fromm is like his child. He's going to do anything. He'd throw him. Like, Jedrick Wills is just like the guy from Alabama that's going to be taken. He's a top prospect his entire life. And he has no dog. Guys that have been successful over years, Northern Illinois. There have been rarely few guys that have been taken out of a Florida, which I go to, by the way, that have been successful. Notre Dame, guys that are going to be rough, physical. I think that schools, like lower schools, produce these guys because it's just like, they're fighting for their lives. That's what the NFL is. You're fighting for your life. I don't want a polished guy that plays on turf and, 80-degree weather, perfect conditions all the time. I want a guy that's going to be able to go in the cold. I want to be a guy that's be able to play in the driving rain and push people around like a Quentin Nelson. And I don't think this draft class has it. Besides Andrew Thomas, and I think maybe Josh Jones can develop into that. But from what I've seen, SEC hasn't been able to produce top left tackles. It just hasn't been done. There have been very few guys. I think was it Max Sharping out of Ole Miss, but there have been very few guys. It's all guys from up north, out west. Stanford's, your Notre Dame's, Midwest guys. SEC hasn't really produced a lot of guys, and that's what I've noticed. And I think at this point, to wrap it all up, Isaiah Simmons is a top flight prospect. He's the best player available. You draft him, you don't draft for need, and you need an inside linebacker as well. You draft him. You can't go wrong with drafting him. We need a guy that's going to be able to blitz packages. We need guys that can cover tight ends. He can do both. He can do whatever we need him to do. And I'm kind of worried about that right tackle spot right now. But I think at some point you can draft for him. And top right tackle prospects, I've seen it. They usually go in the first to second round, or they're undrafted. Jason Peters, undrafted. But, the top prospects go in the first 2 rounds. I take a card on a guy in the second round. I take a Josh Jones. I bring a guy in like that. Especially if you can trade back and select 2 guys. Maybe another edge guy, or maybe center guard and offensive tackle in the second round. Cesar Ruiz, I hear good things about him. I'd be down for that. That's what I want. And give it to me. No, just kidding. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think. Should the Giants select offensive tackle at 4? Or are you like, Anthony, you're right? Because I always am. No, but are you guys thinking, you know what? The Giants, take a look at it, 6.8 rating is a boomer bust prospect. So let's just take a little bit of a lesser talent in the second round, and maybe you can develop into something. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.